Hi, my name is Aubrey Rogers. I'm a student at Boise State University and a mom to 4 kids. This semester, I am working with the Idaho Media Initiative. My presentation today is about media literacy. Media literacy is probably a new term for you, so I'll explain what it means. The word media can mean different things, but here we will talk about media as a way of communicating information or providing entertainment to large groups of people. Media includes TV, internet, newspapers, magazines, and radio, to name a few. The most common meaning of literacy is the ability to read, but another definition is knowledge, understanding, or skill in a specific area. So media literacy is the ability to critically evaluate the various messages we receive from different forms of media. Much of the media we encounter today is on a screen of some kind, so if you are media literate, it could also be called being screen smart. In order to carefully analyze the things we see on TV and the internet, we should ask 5 questions. First, we should ask about the author. Who made this message? The second question is about the format or presentation of the message. Specifically, what has been done in this message to get your attention? The next question to ask about is the audience. Who is the target audience for this content? The fourth question is about the content. Specifically, what values or opinions are represented in this message? And is this message true? The fifth question you should ask about is the purpose. What is the purpose of this message? Now I'll play a quick commercial.
All the goodness of milk, all the deliciousness of Hershey's syrup. Squeeze, stir, share.
Now let's analyze this commercial by asking our 5 questions. First, author. Who made this commercial? Second, format. What things did they do in this commercial to catch your attention? Third, audience. Who do you think this commercial was targeted to? Fourth, content. What was this commercial telling you? How did you feel after watching this commercial? And finally, purpose. What is the purpose of this commercial? Now I want to talk about each of these 5 important questions in more depth. The first question to ask when evaluating a message in the media is about the author of the message. Knowing the author or source of a message can help you determine if it is reliable. If the author isn't listed, someone may be trying to spread lies or false stories without taking responsibility for it. The next question to ask when you see media is about format. The format is the general appearance of the message. Advertisers and other media companies often use tricks or special effects to get you to pay attention to their message. Some of these things that can grab your attention are special effects, bright colors, fun music, and pretty people. The food industry uses some interesting techniques to make food look more appetizing in advertisements and other media. This hamburger went through a lot of styling to look this good. Food stylists, yes, that's a real job, spend a lot of time making food look beautiful for the camera. Here are some food stylists getting some hamburgers ready. First, they look at several buns to find the perfect one. Then they use tweezers and glue to place the sesame seeds in just the right place. The layers of the hamburger are separated with cardboard or paper towels so the buns don't get soggy and so the hamburger doesn't droop. Stylists often use shoe polish or other coloring on the hamburger to make sure it has a nice brown color. Ketchup and mustard are carefully injected onto the burger in exactly the right places. Then you get the perfect looking hamburger. The one on the left is the styled burger. The one on the right is what it looks like in real life. See the difference? Ice cream is another food that is often not what it seems in advertisements. Vegetable shortening and food coloring are often used instead of real ice cream, so it doesn't melt while they're taking pictures. Here's a picture of what real ice cream looks like, at my house anyway. Visual tricks are used in other forms of media also. In ads, magazines, and in shows, people, especially women, are often made to look quote-unquote better than normal. Sometimes this is done through makeup, sometimes through Photoshop, a computer program that digitally alters photographs. To show you what Photoshop can do to change pictures, I have a short video that shows what happened when a woman sent her photograph to Photoshop experts around the world. When you see photoshopped pictures, it's hard to tell that the girl doesn't really look like that. It looks real. When unrealistic photos of girls and women are used in the media, it can make real women feel that they are not pretty enough or good enough because they don't look like the people on TV. But what we see on TV and in ads is often not really real, so women and girls are comparing themselves against imaginary people. This problem isn't just in ads and shows for adults. Have you ever considered how people in cartoons look? Do they look realistic? Disney princesses have really unrealistic body shapes. The waists of Disney princesses are especially small compared to what real women's waists look like. One journalist wanted to see what Disney princesses would look like if they had more realistic waistlines, so she changed the drawings to make the princesses look less skinny and more normal. The original picture is on the left. If you look closely at the original picture of Jasmine, made by Disney, you will see that her waist is about the width of her neck. Is that realistic? Can a woman's waist be the size of her neck? Isn't the altered picture on the right more realistic? Here are a few more of these pictures. The picture on the right may seem weird after we have grown up with the picture on the left, but the one on the left is not realistic. It would be almost impossible to have a waist that small. Even modern princesses have really small waists. Why do you think Disney draws their princesses this way? Do you think pictures like this change what we think is normal and beautiful? Do you think they should draw princesses differently? You may pause now for discussion of these questions. It's also interesting that Disney princesses are drawn wearing a lot of makeup. Do they have makeup in fairy tale lands? Here's a short video showing what Disney princesses might look like without makeup. Fairy tale styling doesn't just happen in cartoons. When you see a picture of someone famous, there's a good chance that they were photoshopped to look quote-unquote better. Women are usually photoshopped to look skinnier. Magazine covers are a good example of this. The picture on the left here is a real picture from the photo shoot of this celebrity. The picture on the right is the photoshopped magazine cover. Look how small her waist is on the magazine cover. Also look at the shape of her legs. When you see pictures like this on the cover of magazines, it's important to remember that the picture is most likely altered, sometimes drastically, and you are not really seeing someone as they really are. Real women have real bodies in different shapes and sizes, and they are beautiful how they really are. The next question we should ask when we see media is about the intended audience. Who was this message made or written for? One message can have different meanings for different people, depending on what kind of life experiences they have had. Messages are usually targeted to a certain audience. A good example of this is advertisements. Who is this advertisement targeted to? If you know that an advertisement is targeted to someone like you are less likely to be tricked into buying something you don't really need, or something that could be bad for you. The next question to consider when we view media is, what are the views or opinions expressed in this media? When we see ads or news or entertainment, they usually show certain ideas or viewpoints. Understanding the messages or content you're seeing is important. One hidden and false message you see a lot in the media today is that a woman's appearance determines her worth. In entertainment and ads, most of the women are impossibly beautiful, and they are often dressed in revealing clothes or hardly dressed at all. Many ads today are not even appropriate to show to children or teenagers, or grown-ups for that matter. You'll notice that some of these ads are from many decades ago, so this has been going on for a long time. When women are shown like this, they can start to be seen as objects whose sole purpose is to be pretty. This is called the objectification of women. When women are seen as objects, they are not valued for their intelligence, personality, or talents. They are not valued as human beings. They are valued for how they look. This message is often seen in advertising, entertainment, and other forms of media. It is even seen in shows for children. Shows like Monster High, Ever After High, and Bratz. These shows, and the dolls that go with them, portray girls as overly made up, with tight, often revealing clothing. The focus of the shows is often on beauty and fashion. This message can be damaging because girls are so much more than how they look. A person's true value comes from who they are inside, from their intelligence, personality, and how they treat others. Even the news media seems to be tainted by our society's objectification of women. One example of this is how the news media sometimes portrays female politicians. They often speak of them in terms of how they look. Whether these observations are positive or negative, they diminish her value as an intelligent human being. Female politicians are also more likely than men to be portrayed as irrational or simple. Recently, 2 articles from the New York Times and the Washington Post wrote about women in Washington, D.C. The article in the New York Times was about the purses of congresswomen. The article in the Washington Post was about a White House lawyer famous for her shoes. Politicians and all people, male or female, should be judged by their intelligence, integrity, and other qualities that really matter. Unfortunately, that's not what we always see in the media today. Another question we should ask ourselves when viewing media is whether or not the content we're seeing is true and accurate. We should also wonder if what we are seeing is the whole story. I found an article online recently about the threat of hydroxylic acid. These are the main points of the article I read about the threat of hydroxylic acid. It's a universal solvent. It dissolves more substances than any other acid known to man. Numerous deaths are attributed to this substance every year. It's the main byproduct of rocket fuel. It causes billions of dollars of property damage every year. Many people have been forced to leave their homes because of dangerously high levels of this substance. According to most geologists, this substance has caused more destruction on the earth than any other chemical. And it can destroy most electrical appliances and electronic devices. After hearing these main points of the article, do you think the government should ban hydroxylic acid? If so, why? Do you think you have enough facts to make a decision about this? You may pause to discuss now. There's one thing this article didn't mention. Hydroxylic acid is another name for water. You can look through the article again. Everything they said about water is true, but they left out facts like it is necessary for life, and it's not just in the water supply, it is the water supply. Many things you see online are not actually true. Some articles look scientific, but they are written by people selling a product, and some articles are written out of ignorance and fear by people without correct information. In order to find out if what you're seeing is true or false, there are 4 important things to do. First, be skeptical. Don't believe everything or even most things you see on the internet. Remember that many things you are reading could be false. If it sounds too good to be true or too outrageous to be true, it probably is. Second, consider the source. This is like the author question from earlier in our presentation. Who sent this to you? A teacher or your eccentric aunt? Or if you found the story, what website did you find it on? Was the website covered in ads? Did you read it on CNN or Bob's News outlet? Even if it is CNN, it still might not be true. So that is why it's really important to do the next step, which is do your own research. There are fact-checking sites like Snopes.com and trutherfiction.com. These sites are a good place to look up stories and quotes going around the internet to see if they are true or false. Another good tool for research is to do a Google search. It can be hard to know which sites are reliable, but a Google search will give you a long list of results, and by searching through those, you can often come to a consensus. It is important to find out if what you're seeing is true so you don't pass on stories or information that isn't true. You can also kindly correct others who are spreading false stories and help them learn how to tell between fact and fiction. I recently saw a neat video online from a reliable source who makes educational and scientific videos. He quoted Mark Twain as saying, A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes. It's a really great quote, and I think there's a lot of truth to it. The funny thing is, as I was doing a Google search to find out exactly when and where Mark Twain said that, I found several articles saying that even though the quote has circulated online often, Mark Twain probably did not say it. One source said that the quote was supposedly from 1919, but Mark Twain died in 1910. Maybe the quote really is from Mark Twain, but my research says it probably isn't. Do your research, find the source, find the facts, especially before you share anything with others. One more thing to think about when viewing media content is what groups are represented in this media. Are minorities represented in this? What about people with disabilities? Our views are shaped by people we see in the media, whether on TV, movies, ads, or in articles. When we do not see a certain group of people represented, or when they are often shown in a negative light, this can distort our perceptions about those groups. In the popular series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and in many other popular series, almost all of the main characters are white. In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., one was Asian. They usually have one or two African American characters in each episode, but they are often minor characters, and the characters seem to come and go. What message could this send to those who are watching the show? Another group that is often not portrayed in shows or other media are people with disabilities. One of my toddler's favorite shows is Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. When we were watching the other day, I was pleased to see a character with disabilities represented. Her name is Chrissy, and she has leg braces and crutches. She is a minor character, but is still a good step in the right direction. It is fairly common to see people with disabilities at schools, but it is pretty unusual to see disabled people on TV and in other forms of media. If certain groups of people are not shown on TV or in other media, it can send a message that they are not as important or as valuable as those people who are shown in the media. The last of the 5 questions we should ask when watching media is, what is the purpose of this media? Who benefits from it? It is important to know the purpose of the media you are seeing to help you make informed decisions about what you have seen. Earlier we talked about the tricks that are used to make food look really yummy in advertisements. Here's another good example of a good-looking food in an ad. Honestly, I get hungry just looking at it, and I think that is just what the company wants their advertisements to do. Their purpose is to make you want to go buy their food. But if someone is earning a lot of money from an ad or a show, can you trust that they have your best interests at heart? Do you think McDonald's is mainly interested in your health and happiness? Now I have another commercial to show you.
Hey there.
Hi, Ronald.
Bad day, huh?
I'll say.
Well, it could be worse.
Awesome.
Make the gray skies go away when you
Brighten
say
your day with the goodness of apples and milk, part of your McDonald's Happy Meal.
In this ad it says, brighten your day with the goodness of apples and milk. But are apples and milk all that you get in a Happy Meal? What else is in a Happy Meal? Most of the food at McDonald's is not very good for you, but the purpose of fast food companies is to sell food, so the commercial focuses on the few healthy items on the menu. Then they make it look like buying it will make you happy. Much of advertising is like this. In order to be screen smart, you need to understand the purpose of the ad, and you need to think about the facts that are left out. Then you can make a better decision about what you spend your money on, and what you ask your parents to spend their money on. The last thing that is important to know in order to be screen smart is how to appropriately participate in media. When you participate in media online, it is important to be safe and to be polite. I could give another big presentation just on internet safety, but for now I will just highlight the basic rules. Number 1, Never give out your personal information, like your address or phone number, on the internet. Number 2, if you see something online that is inappropriate or makes you feel uncomfortable, turn off the computer right away and tell your parents. 3, never agree to meet someone you met online without your parents' permission, and tell your parents if someone asks to meet you. And 4, do not post pictures online without your parents' permission. The last thing I want to talk about is internet etiquette, or being polite on the internet. Sometimes other people on the internet seem really far away. If they post something you don't like or you think is silly, it's easy to say something mean about them or to write a mean comment. If you are screen smart, you remember to be kind to others you interact with on the internet. Also, you don't spread rumors or mean stories about other people. When dealing with people on the internet, it is good to remember the golden rule, which basically says, treat others the way you want to be treated. And another good rule to remember before you share something online is to stop and think. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? When it comes to interacting with others on the internet through comments and posts, you should also think about what you would say if the person was standing in front of you. If they were with you in person and they said something you disagreed with, would you look them in the eye and tell them they were stupid? If you wouldn't say something to their face, you shouldn't write it in a comment or a post about them online. If you remember the rules of etiquette, and if you also remember to ask the 5 questions we have talked about, you will be well on your way to being screen smart. Once you are screen smart, the only thing left to do is share what you've learned with your friends and family so they can be screen smart like you. I hope you have learned some new things today that you can share with your family and friends. Thank you for watching my presentation. I hope you have found it interesting and informative.